My older brother passed away from leukemia. My mom, I think she blamed God. We went to a couple of churches because, there's a void in our heart that we try to fill it with something. It never gets filled, unless you do have Jesus Christ in your life. After the service, he come up and says, "What do you think?" And I just says, "I'll be back next Sunday." It moved me so much. I turned my head, hit my face here and went down here. I had 30 stitches in my mouth. And when I'm laying there, I says, "Wow, this could kill me." Then all of a sudden it come to me that you're not breathing.
How are you so calm about, oh, I almost died?
It's the faith and knowing that there's more.
What has been one of the most difficult parts of your life, and how did you get through it?
I remember when you were only about this tall, so.
Yeah, actually, I was thinking about that. I was writing part of this here,
Yeah.
and I'm like, man, I remember Dan Jack from, I don't remember Moss Brook without Dan Jack.
Yeah, almost. Yeah. It's been, we're way over in the high school, and my mom asking me to go 5 times
Really?
for Sundays, and I just was always busy. And finally, she gave me the ultimatum of, it almost brings a tear to my eye, but, are you going to take me?
Mm.
And I can remember coming, and that time it happened to be in the forum. We were
Yeah.
down in the forum, because I know you had to do it, we had to do that, here and there through once a month maybe, or once every month or two. And it was in the forum the very first time I went.
Mm.
And I went, and Pastor Mike and Melody and the singing, and I almost shocked a lot of people that I knew that I was there because Mom had asked me, and I just kind of showed up. And
Sure.
then Glenn, after the service, he come up and he says, "What do you think?" And I just says, "I'll be back next Sunday." And it moved me so much. And then for years, it seems those years, I shed tears. But I think, again, the Holy Spirit and, kind of getting me now. But,
Yeah.
I've just always been moved. And I I've loved it. And then, getting into the serving part and, being asked to be a deacon. And
Yeah.
I've been just so blessed with this church. And I know it's God directing me to come here. When I was really young, we went to South Park Baptist. And I don't know if you know this or not, but we went there, years. I think I was baptized there when I was like 6, 8, somewhere in that window. Sure. But I didn't know really what it was about. I just kind of was going, and they had a tub that I think it came up out of the floor, if I remember right. At least you took the cover off, and
Oh, yeah. Okay.
we got baptized. Me and my oldest. I was the youngest of the family at that time, I believe. And I had an older brother and my older sister. And we were there for quite a few years, and I remember my dad reading the Bible to us at night at times. And it was just, I think that was the foundation. We all have a foundation,
Yeah.
I think, of how we happened to come to the Lord. And then my older brother passed away from leukemia. It's hard. It's hard for me to talk about some of the stuff. But we walked away from the church a while. And I was 14 when he passed. My mom, she, I think she blamed God. And so we kind of just stayed away for, about 3 or 4 years there. We didn't even attempt to be there. But I was in Bible study, Bible Sunday school, I was younger and went through all that. And then being 14 and he was 15, he died of leukemia. And boy, it hurt. It hurt the family. But it hurt my parents, especially my mom, her walk with the Lord. And if you look back and how things was, and we walked away. And then I got older, we were away. I was 14, so then I was 17, 18.
Yeah.
And got married before I was 19.
Wow.
So high school sweetheart.
Wow.
Yeah. King and queen of the prom.
Wow, that's pretty
It
cool.
was really just a fairy tale, to be honest.
Wow.
Life really happens as a family, then, we had children, and we went to a couple of churches because I really wanted that. I know there's a void there. There's a void in our heart that we need this. And because there is an open hole, and
Mm.
we try to fix it. We try
Sure.
to fill it with something,
Yeah.
and it never gets filled,
Mm.
unless you do have Jesus Christ in your life. And finally, um, Mom, when she asked me to come to this, it just, it opened that door, and it filled that. In time, it really filled it, because then you come, and you are so moved that you're in church again,
Mm.
and then you want more understanding.
Mm.
Uh, I had a craving for understanding, and then Marlena came, and of course the kids are out of the house. Our kids are
Oh,
all
yep.
grown up by the time we come, and that's the I guess the regret that we didn't um, get the kids in school more. I mean, they went to Sunday school, and
Yep.
the summer programs, and
Sure.
went to a couple of, like, it wasn't Word of Life, but some in Maine,
So, yeah, something similar.
and they didn't have good experiences
Mm.
of that. Mostly because I don't know, some of the camps that they went to um, gave them the love of God.
Mm.
It was more of their stories
Sure.
of the wrath of God,
Huh.
which was really hard.
Yeah.
And I didn't know until, we were older, and they were telling me this. I said, wow. And,
Mm.
it broke my heart. But,
Mm.
anyway,
Hmm.
it's a quick summary, really. And then,
Yeah.
when Mom got me here, I've been craving. And I think the first year or two, we were in like we were in like 3 Bible studies a week,
Mm.
just searching and wanting and to understand more.
To fill the void.
And it's been moving. And some of the other churches we went to,
Yeah.
um, it just, it was, something was missing.
Mm.
And until I heard Pastor Mike and your dad preach.
Mm.
And then you get into that community
Mm.
of people that just become your friends and walk with you, and
Mm.
really special.
Dan Jack, I mean,
Mm.
just from that, it's so interesting to me because to sit here with different people from different generations, I feel like there's a certain section of your generation who just understand and have also looked for filling that void, as you mentioned. And then when you find Jesus and you really fill that void, I don't know, there's this like this clear understanding and your ability to kind of tell other people who might not even believe, like, there is something that you can fill it with and it doesn't ever go away, right? And then you have to keep refilling it. It's
That's
just
right.
there.
Yes.
Um, but I do want to go back because you mentioned this to your childhood, just how you grew up. What was it like? And you grew up here in Maine?
Yeah,
Yeah, you did.
right on the farm up on a hill, and overlooks like a 180 view that's been really special.
Mm,
My dad bought that from um, the estate of
okay.
my great grandfather,
Mm.
actually, they had passed, who I was named after.
Oh wow.
My real name is Danville Jack.
Okay. Yeah.
It was his whole family name way back in the 18th. I don't know, might be the fourth. Someone's in it, went third or fourth, and
Sure. Sure.
so, and that was, so it's an old family farm, and my
Okay.
dad just he found a way.
Mm.
It wasn't easy,
Mm.
um, but again, he loved farming, and uh, being raised on that farm. And I think at one time we had 150 sheep and
Wow.
80 some cows and maybe 100 pigs running.
Wow.
We had um, we used to do electric fences out through the woods, and I don't know. I think at times we didn't know how many we had, because once in a while there was a litter born that we didn't know. All of a sudden they started showing up. So the reward and the closeness of growing up on a farm is
Mm.
just so special. Our family was very close.
Mm. What was your day to day kind of in that? I guess from like 8 to 15. I don't know when you were on the farm and with your family.
I can remember, like my dad planted a lot of vegetables and
Okay.
cucumbers and string beans and corn, sweet corn. And we went to all the farmers markets, and he tried to sell. We sold, and just to survive, really. It's
Mm.
just, but it was a working farm that, um, I have at that time I had a younger brother, 2.5 years younger than me than my older brother, and we just, uh, we worked the farm and had to go out there and weed and
Mm.
weed the the rows. I mean, these aren't like a little garden row. There, you look down across it, you wonder if you're ever going to get done. But and then picking, and preparing the ground for to be planted
Mm.
even. And I remember going, Dad's land was the land is very rocky.
Mm.
And I can remember going out there. We always when we call it picking rocks.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
go out and pick rocks, and um, as a family. And
Mm.
I can remember my brother, that's younger than me. He could go out there and I mean, we were out there picking rocks when we were like 4 or 5 years old, and we just, he, I guess he needed help. We could always get a rock and throw it on a drag and then we'd haul it off, and he'd dump it. I can remember him when he was like 4, and he would just stand with his arms and his mouth clenched, and he wouldn't pick up a rock, but he didn't really want to be there more than anything, But
Yeah.
as we learned to. I mean, it was
Sure.
as I got a little older, then I worked on the railroad for 15 years, and
Mm.
when I come home after work, I'll go up to the farm and help them, and we just there was a lot of pride there to have it be successful,
Mm.
and they needed the help, and
Yeah.
a lot. There's a lot of down to earthness of growing up on a farm,
Mm.
but not a lot of money.
Mm. Yeah.
And so we just, we struggle, but I think we're very happy
Mm.
as children. And
Mm.
I had two super parents.
Mm. Because it's a beautiful simplicity, really, growing up on a farm and just having that family around you. Every day you're getting up, you're working together for the same cause, right? You're
Yeah.
working towards a same outcome.
Mm.
What is something that you now look back and you're like, I really took this away and kind of see it for the rest of my life from that, just kind of growing up in that.
Well, I think that's, living out there on that farm, and again, the family and being close. I'm close to my three, all the siblings that we have.
Mm.
The, the strange part about the family too is after my brother passed away, 3 years later, my mom had another child.
Hmm.
At I think she was about 40,
Oh wow.
and it was so he's older than my sister. I got a sister that's 2.5 years old. So from between her, I think she's over 20 years older than him.
Mm.
I'm 18,
Wow.
so
Yeah.
and I think I mean we could be his parents, and he's that much younger. So, and he was just a little one that run around. All of a sudden, I think it brought mom and dad to a degree out of their funk,
Mm.
with what had happened.
Mm.
I guess closeness of family, and me and Marlena both had 3 daughters, and trying to emulate my parents on what they did for us,
Mm.
the closeness and
Sure.
mentoring and uh, doing things with them. We were always hands on. Um, in 4-H, they were all three in 4-H.
Mm.
I coached them all in high school, and
Mm.
I've unbelievable memories. But I think that's some of it. Being close to your kids is something that I think is being raised on that farm and being really close to my parents. And
Mm.
I think really helped me bring that with me.
Mm.
A fond memory.
Mm.
So
You mentioned you worked on the railroad for 15 years. What did that look like, and what railroad were you working on? Multiple, or was it mainly one?
no, it was one. It was the one that runs through South Paris. At the time, they sold it since I was out there. It used to be CN, which is Canadian
Okay.
National, and I did a lot on the railroad. The strange part about me getting a job was my name is Danville Jack, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
when me and Marlene had just gotten married.
Mhm.
Me and my dad went over and we went in and I signed up to get a job.
Sure.
And the roadmaster was there. Was his name was Walter Jodry, but uh, we sat down. We talked for. He says, "There's about 25 guys ahead of you on the list, and I don't know if you'll be able to get on this year." So
Hmm.
me and Marlene hadn't had a honeymoon, so she's from Canada. We went up there for a honeymoon to see all of her relations that I didn't even know.
Sure.
I didn't know any of them because they'd been down here.
Hmm.
And I got up there, and I think we just about got there for about 6 hours. My dad called and said that the railroad had called and wanted to know if I just as soon as I could go to work. So we just got there on the honeymoon. Well, we jumped back in the car, and I knew it was a really great at that time, and it was in 1973,
Mm.
and just a great job. I mean, I think minimum wage was $1, maybe a little more
Oh wow.
an hour, and for the railroad, I believe I don't know why I don't know why I remember this, but I think it was like 432.
Wow. So
So it was big money, really, at that
exponentially.
time. It seems not, but at that time it was unbelievable.
Yeah.
We jumped in the car and we came back. I worked, that summer pretty much. But the strange thing was the first day that I had to work, I had to go to work in Danville Junction. It all seems like a God thing, don't it?
Yeah.
But I walked in the door and the guy shaking the foreman, I was going to be my boss.
Yeah.
He's just kind of shaking his head and he goes, "This can't be right, right?" He says, "Your name can't be Danville Jack." And you report in Danville Junction? And I says, well, I never even thought about it until he had mentioned it. I said, "No, that's my name."
That's pretty cool.
It was, I don't know. It was just strange, I guess,
Mm.
uh, but a memory too, first day on the job,
Wow.
so.
Did you have any schooling for kind of like more of what we think as schooling growing up?
High school education,
Yep.
I think, as we always said, when in maybe my generation more so too than some, but weak mind, strong back. Being on the farm, and I should say too, when the roadmaster called, and I had talked to him after quite a few times, and um, he jumped me way ahead of people because I was raised on a farm and knew, through our conversation that I could work. I did get done eventually because my dad hurt his back,
Mm.
and I hated the traveling. I was traveling from
Mm.
Island Pond, Vermont, to Portland, Maine.
Wow.
Quite often, and being away home at times. Going to work Monday and coming home from Wednesday, and then going back to work. And
Mm.
most of the time, we had to start work at 6 o'clock in the morning, and it was.
Yeah.
And I think I missed, being, and the girls were, you know, really young. So eventually, I think when I about got done, Sandy was, she might have been 10 or 11, somewhere's in there, and my oldest daughter.
Mm.
And then I got coaching Little League, Babe Ruth, um, and then when I did back in 1989, I got a job in high school as coaching JV girls basketball, plus they gave me the job for varsity softball, and was there many years and coached basketball and
Wow.
softball and soccer, varsity soccer, all girls. We had $3, so I
Yeah,
got into
yeah.
the girls end, but
Yeah.
just really great meeting some really super young ladies that was really special. Talking about faith and but being in high school, it was hard a little bit, but
Sure.
um, hadn't gone to church a real lot, but I had faith, and
Sure.
we always had a pinch of discipline, and I can remember some of the because anybody, high school, especially public school, there's some cursing that can go on.
Mm. Yeah.
So, but when I was around, if we were practicing or whatever was going on, if one of them was frustrated with something and they'd say something, then they'd look, oop, oh, sorry, coach. But I think it's just setting that standard,
Mm.
of being, being good and not cursing. And Yeah. Communicating that there's a pinch of discipline and everything. And I was blessed to have great kids and just really had a great time with coaching and really missed it. And I got to coach in the end with my oldest daughter too. So
That's
it was
really
really
cool.
special. Yeah. Yeah. And really successful. Many state championships. How's that?
That's awesome.
Oh, it was, the memories are unbelievable.
Mm.
God, we all have gifts.
Mm.
And I think the natural gift that he gave me was that communication with, a pinch of knowledge. Most of the kids that I coach, as IQ, probably a lot better than mine, I'll be honest. But again, I knew the game. I knew how to, you know, God gave me the gift of putting it together and having it work.
There's a lot you just unpacked there.
Yeah.
And I want to start with with just, so did you have previous experience growing up with like well, not, it would have been baseball and basketball?
Yeah, I did. I played um, all the sports in high school.
Really?
Baseball, basketball, soccer, run cross country.
Really?
Not that I was kind of average in everything.
Sure.
I was an average player. I mean, I was good, but I was average.
Mm.
But I think sometimes when had that ability, not the best player, but had ability to understand and had to work at understanding things, and I think that carried me into coaching. I think being myself and understanding and how to put that package together, and with great kids. I mean, I had really great talent, but as a coach, read it and fit it, have it fit in the right places. Uh, was very blessed, and I think as a coach, you sell yourself to the team that you're there to do the best that you can. Don't play favorites.
Right.
Never played favorites. And the ones that worked the hardest and seemed to understand, played the most. We were, not that I always, we were actually so successful. Everybody played a lot, to be honest. But so it really, really made it easy. Made it easy. I was very blessed. Very, very blessed person as a coach.
From the first year you started coaching to your last year, what is the biggest difference in that, having all that experience at the end from the beginning? What's just one thing that you did so differently?
Remember the very first practice I had with the girls' varsity softball team. I think the year before the coach had gotten done, and they were a really good team, and he had gotten done because it was going to be, they were going to be state champions. That's how good this team. Well, they didn't quite make it.
Oh, yep.
And I don't know how. I don't. It was kind of a blame. I think he blamed himself too. But so he got done. Well, it opened the door for me.
Right.
But the pressure was still on because they were still very, very good. But I can remember being really, really nervous the very first practice. And as time went on, you become yourself. I think I coached 14 years.
Wow.
In that stint there as head coach.
Yeah.
And I think we went to we went in the 14 we went to the state game. We went to the state game 6 times.
Wow, that's impressive.
In 14 years. But if we didn't get to state game, we're at the West Main final, pretty much.
Wow.
So there was mostly our nemesis was Monmouth Academy, but they were really, really, they were good too. It was if we won, we were state champions, pretty much. If they won, they were state champions. I mean, we were just butting heads. If they hadn't been in there, I think I did maybe 10.
Wow.
10, state championships. But again, I did get done, and I was self-employed too, for one thing. I was kind of getting burnt out. I coached the summer program. We even took a team to California.
Wow.
And played in the nationals.
That's crazy.
And there was some Oxford Hills girls on that team too. The whole area. It wasn't just Buckfield. 18 and under, and played in the national team out there. Nationals. So even one beat Fresno, California. I was pretty proud about that. We were all proud about that. But
yeah,
more than anything, it's the people. I did get done coaching, and then for about, I think, 10 years, didn't coach. And then Sandy, my oldest daughter, she got the varsity coaching job. And I think the first phone call she made was, "Dad, you got to come help me." So I became her assistant coach. I was the assistant coach, and she was the head coach. But What a great time.
For a newer coach like myself, what is something, one piece of advice you can give to create an amazing team dynamic?
Reading talent that you have on your team and putting that team together, and but it takes a pinch of discipline
Mm,
for you to uh, quell some of the, because we're all human.
yeah.
We all, especially young people, they're always, jockeying and try to either at times maybe um, not being really team making. I guess the big thing is getting that team to come together,
Mm,
and I think that it comes in time, especially being really young.
mm,
I remember when I coached right out of high school, it was tough, and I felt uh, not real confident what I was doing.
mm.
but but again, learning and then
Yeah.
and then got into and it was a blessing. But as far as just, I think more than anything, just being yourself
Mm,
and being honest with the kids and reading the talent and um, ma- having them have a good time,
mm.
having them have a good time. But again, try to win. At least I always tried to win.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
But winning isn't everything.
Mhm.
It's how you kind of got there too. And
Mm,
then when you did get beat, um, you learn from your lessons
yeah.
of why you got beat. Because we learned so much more by getting beat than we
Mm,
did by winning. I'll be
mm.
honest.
Did you have any maybe people you worked alongside with or any people in management while you were part of the railroad just that really spoke into your life or maybe even helped grow your faith? I don't know if there was anyone there like that.
Railroad was tough,
Yeah,
tough area for having faith, but because I was always hands on. I was
sure.
down in the hole. I was digging. I was shoveling. I was the guy, and there'd be three guys standing there watching you do the work. But I was down the hole. I remember, I don't know if it was a side, it was a. I think we might have been doing a crossing.
Hmm.
Things were kind of going wrong, and I don't even remember the situation, but um, a little frustrated,
Sure.
and I'm frustrated, and trying to get something to, and one of the co-worker watching me, just standing there. He says, Dan, you can swear if you have to, and because there's something even on I never did.
Yeah.
I never did. I wasn't a part of me to curse,
Mm.
but there was still, life has frustrations,
Mm. Yeah.
but no matter, especially at work and doing things like that, and emanating faith still of where my foundation was when I was young,
Mm.
going to South Paris Baptist, and then
Yeah.
and again coming back, and
Mm.
the seeds. I think the seeds are planted, and that's what
Mm.
we're always looking for, is to plant seeds, and um, we never know. We
Mm.
never know how that is going to affect someone later on in life, or the next day, 5 years later. We I think we always, at least I always have, is tried to do that.
Mm.
My faith was nothing like it is today, as
Sure.
it was even on the railroad, or even when I was coaching. I know I was there, but um, since I've gotten older, it's 24/7.
When did faith become real for you? And was there a specific moment?
We talked earlier about the whole. I had
Mm.
faith, but I wasn't filling that hole. And when I did come to Mossbrook with my mom, it was there. It, it
Mm.
it was so special. Just being moved for the next 5, 6, 7 years
Mm.
was, and I still am today. But
Yeah.
I don't shed tears quite so often as I used to. But except for this interview, I guess. I think that was the moment when I heard Pastor Mike preach. I heard Melody sing, and the band, and the people there. I was awashed
Mm.
with, this is what I've been looking for.
Mm.
So I think it was that first moment of coming to church, and
Mm.
then coming back, and just I think maybe 2 years I only missed like 3 or 4 times church
Wow.
in that 2 years. And
Yeah.
it had to be. I remember one time we had gone to Bangor for something, and somebody called me because I told them, anytime you want to go to church, just give me a call.
Yeah.
Well, we were Bangor. And they called, and it was like a Saturday, and I says, and he called me on my cell phone. And he says, "Hey, I'd like to go to church tomorrow if you can." And I had to pick him up. So I says, "Sure, I'll pick you up tomorrow morning." We traveled back down, um, and I went to church that Sunday because I thought it was that was that important for him.
Mm.
Not just for me, but for him. So
Mm.
that's how it has been for me. Any try to just show the love of God to everybody. My
Mm.
work through firewood, delivering wood to people, and
Yeah.
just talking to them and finding a opportunity
Mm.
to bring up the Lord to them um, and see where their walk was. And sometimes they were there, and you didn't even we might not have known it until
Mm.
I happened to see that opportunity. And sometimes they'd shut the door quick. It
Mm.
just slant. But again, that's okay.
Yeah.
We still tried to plant seeds.
What first got you into serving as part of the church, and also what are you doing right now? What are you part of? What ministries?
I think even just to start with, and at times we see needs of what was going on around, and it was before, the church was still growing, and there's no deacons, and
Yeah.
there was um, just a need there, I guess. And all my life, I've loved to serve.
Mm.
Not just or help people, I should say, too, and see a need, and in being a part of the church, there was there were a lot of needs out there with people. Someone had asked, or the firewood ministry, go get wood and bring it and deliver wood to people, and um, love that. And then the other thing is the greeters and the
Oh
ushers,
yeah.
and I love being a part of that because I love being out there in the hall and looking for people coming in the door and greeting all the people that we do know.
Mm.
But again, seeing someone that's looking up the lights, and you can tell with almost an instant, this is the first day,
Mm.
and just approaching
Yeah.
and making, having them be welcome, and let them know that there's people there that can, that do welcome them,
Mm.
so, um, that's pretty much the church. And then Pastor Mike asked me about being a deacon, and I was blown away. When he asked me, I was, ooh, yeah, I definitely wanted to be more part,
Sure.
and I felt that it was the Lord that was asking me
Mm.
to be, more of a servant, to help and do, you know, s- greet people and help the church and, um, the needs of the church, and
Mm.
it's it's been great.
Yeah.
I feel at times inadequate, so but again, it's good.
For someone who might not know, when we say deacon, what are you doing? What does that mean?
Well, mostly the needs of the church. Your dad has a big part of what I mean, he's helped me so much. I should say Pastor Tim.
Sure.
I should say he's just been such a director and of this church, and some of the decisions that's being made. Not just him, but Pastor Mike and the elders, um, and the other deacons now that's come on is just it's so much for the church, and still growing, and s-
Mm.
many decisions to be made. So we help with the building,
Yep.
make sure the grounds are good. Any people that need help here or there, either moving.
Sure.
I don't know how many. Helped a lot of people moving, to communicating, to this mostly firewood to help
Mm.
build something, build a deck, lots and lots, not just a church, whatever's out there in the community.
How'd you get into firewood? Was that something you were doing while you were coaching?
Pretty
Okay.
much, I worked on the railroad, and I got done.
Yeah.
I started logging, and then got into a firewood business, and um, helped to got a contract for the Maine State Housing
Mm-hmm.
for low income wood, and meeting a lot of people through this whole area of
Mm.
just giving them some firewood, and I got paid for it through
Yeah.
Maine State Housing because it was a job, but
Right.
um, it is still, again, I think there was a few years there I probably delivered 400 cord. So,
Wow.
and I'm kind of just myself, so
Yeah.
no, it was good though. It's good.
Yeah.
So, but a lot of work again. Just scratching out 11 more than anything.
How do you keep running and doing as much as you do on a normal basis?
I like working.
Mm.
I like doing. I like greeting people,
Mm.
seeing new people, being involved all I can. But again, not uh, for myself. Not worried about. I mean, I think sometimes we see people that get
Yeah.
burnt out because they're doing so much, and then it gets to be a burden. I've never had that issue. I just, I don't know. I just always like to work and help and do all I can. And as I've gotten older, mornings have gotten a little harder if you have a long, hard day before, but to get up and get going. But
I like to ask this question, which is, what does the Bible mean to you?
I think it's the salvation of knowing that there's more, and there's an afterlife, and
Mm.
um, you know, heaven, and praying every day, and seeing the guidance of the Holy Spirit that's around me all the time, all my life.
Mm.
Even when I wasn't so close, I look back, or uh, something that could have happened, and um, was protected, and seems to be more. I've had 2 or 3 accidents in my life that if it'd been just a little bit off, I wouldn't be here.
Mm.
There's 2 or 3 of them situations that, but again, um, God is just, He's always been there, and I've always knew that there was more, and coming to faith, with Mossbrook, it's really been special, and doing a Bible study now, and got really good people in the Bible study that can really help me. I've
Mm.
grown. I kind of direct it,
Sure.
but we talk and we discuss and we learn more about, because we read the Bible and we get, um, I think, more in depth and learning more and more understanding, knowing that there's a heaven. I think maybe that's the part
Yeah.
of the Bible, knowing there's a heaven. It's such a peace. It's such a peace to life.
What's the biggest benefit for being part of like a Bible study where it's a smaller group of people diving into a smaller section of the Bible or a book study?
We've been reading Luke, and again, getting down into we read, and then if there's a question, we discuss. And it's been so great for everybody that's in it, and it really seems it. And learning more, understanding more, because the Bible study that you know, I guess I direct it, but there's so many questions, and then there's people in the Bible that answers the questions, and we all have discussion over it. So
You said there's a few life-changing incidences that you've had. What is one of those?
wow.
You knew a couple.
Yeah.
It's story time.
Right after, actually, my brother had passed. That was the first one, I guess, that was pretty bad. I was with my uncle, and we were coming up over 117, and we got in a car accident.
Mm.
And I don't remember it
Really?
because I hit my head.
Oh,
And
wow.
um, the I think the scariest part of it was my sister and mom they didn't see the accident,
Mm.
but they come around the turn. I'm standing in the road with hit my head, so blood was
Right.
gushing down over my face, and I know
Mm.
this is what they're telling me. So,
Sure.
and it took me almost a full day to come out of a concussion,
Wow.
and you know, and remember, I can remember Dana Young, which is Glenn's. We were really pretty close. I was about, I must have been 15 or so at the time.
Yep.
I was, you know, laying on the couch with blanket, and all of a sudden I wake up, right?
Yeah.
I look at Dana. This is the first thing that I remember.
Yeah.
And I said, "Oh, what you doing here? He says, well, you were in a car accident.
Hmm.
And as we talked on, he goes, this is the fifth time I've told you. So I guess I kept waking up. He
That's
kept telling me, and
crazy.
I'd go back to sleep, and then he'd have to tell me the story all over again. So, but I
Wow.
finally remembered
There
and
you go.
came out of it. So,
Wow.
so that was one.
Yeah.
About I think 2010, I was blowing up a tire on my wood truck,
Yep.
and the valve stem was a dually, so I was
Okay.
pumping it up like that, and I just had to reach in between the two tires because that's what it was on the inside the valve stem. So and I come out, I bring the line out
Yep.
from the air, and all of a sudden right here because I'm laying on my back to do this, I
Right.
look right here on the tire because my head's right up next. It's boiling, and I said, "Oh, that's blowing." If I had kept looking at it, I think that because the air come out. Well, it hit my face. I turned my head, hit my face here, and it went down here. I had 30 stitches in my mouth.
Holy cow.
Went down the air went down. I lost my breath, threw me out into the the driveway there a little where I was pumping the tire up, and I was over to my sister's. I was all alone, and so then when I'm laying there, I says, "Wow, this could kill me."
Hmm.
That was my first thought, and then I just kind of was on my hands and knees. I says, maybe it's not going to kill me." So I kind of got up, and then I'm standing up there a little bit, and then all of a sudden it come to me that you're not breathing. So I says, "Oh, maybe it is going to kill me," because I could not catch my breath in what seemed like a long time. But I finally sat walking around a little bit. Trying to catch. I couldn't catch my breath because the air had gone down my lungs and just took. Evidently, it kind of blew it up a little bit. I think
Ooh.
this lung, it damaged this lung a little bit because I got some scar tissue in there. I think, but
Hmm.
finally I got a little teeny breath in, just a little teeny one. And then I've got a little bit more, and well, I'm still here today. I had a really good plastic surgeon
Okay.
when I went to the hospital, because my lip had ripped way down to here. And
Wow.
because I remember it was funny too, because then I called my mom. Marlena was off shopping. Couldn't get hold of her, so I called my mom. And I says, "I'm over to Julie's, the tire blow," and they heard it. They heard the tire go off over there, so.
Hmm.
They called the ambulance for me. But anyway, I says, "Well, I got to look at this." So I went in the mirror of the truck, had a big mirror. I look in and it's, ooh, boy, that's bad. So I finally, because when you hit your mouth and that, blood just,
Yeah.
I had blood all over me. I finally get in the truck, and the only thing I could find for anything was a dirty rag that was on the seat. So I said, "I got to cover this up." They were coming over, and I said, "This looks bad." So I covered my mouth, and I finally got the ambulance anyway
Right.
and got fixed up, and here I am. Long story short.
That is crazy.
Yeah, and that's just two. I mean, there's been two or three others. I've been working in the woods a lot. I've had a tree, almost get me, and
Eee.
many times, but God's always protected me. I think maybe
Hmm.
there was always more.
Yeah.
That's the way I've always looked at it. So
Hmm.
he's definitely protected me.
Hmm.
And when you look back,
Yeah.
especially when you look back, oh, he was there.
Hmm.
So I've always remembered that.
Hmm.
Always try to remember that.
There's probably going to be a few people wondering and asking who aren't believers, like, how are you so calm about, like, oh, I almost died? Like, a lot of people are very scared about that. What is the kind of your mindset behind?
It's the faith and knowing that there's more.
Hmm.
And I'm not afraid to die.
Hmm.
I think we have a built-in mechanism from God to
Yeah.
live. you
Yeah.
know, but I think even when I was younger, I think I don't want to right now because we have the three girls, me and Marlena, and we have 5 grandchildren,
Wow.
and just still want to be here for them and guidance, and then all the people around you. It, it life life is hard, but it's also good,
Hmm.
you know. But again, I think not worrying about dying, I think it's because of faith, of
Mm.
knowing that there's more.
So, what would be someone's first steps to understanding what being a Christ follower is?
I've seen quite a few people that come to church, and I think the big thing is, and I think that some of it is being in the hallways and seeing people and following up and trying to get people to get to into Bible study, because you know Jackie and Glenn really, when we first came to church, me and Marlena, they put their arm around us,
Mm.
and we got into their Bible study for, I think we were there for 9 years
Wow.
with them, and it was so crucial because I've seen so many people come, don't get fed, like I think you mentioned earlier, they get on fire
Right.
for a year, and then all of a sudden you look around and they're not here anymore
Mm.
because something happens in their life. Um, Maybe they miss church 3 or 4 or 5 a month, and
Yeah.
all of a sudden it doesn't seem important so much anymore.
Mm.
So I think it's being here, getting fed, and you know having more, you know, having the spirit, but then searching for understanding.
What has been one of the most difficult parts of your life, and how did you get through it?
I've been pretty much a blessed man,
Mm.
um, but life at times is hard. I think um, worrying about, a little bit of a worry there with, am I doing right,
Mm.
in my life for the kids, you know, making sure, having that job and having a little security and
Mm.
trying to trying to better their life and our life. Um, but then I think when I was first married and we worked hard and we thought we are going to have some money someday, and overall, I think that's something with coming to the Lord with that. Um, you have that piece of, um, don't be a part of the world too much.
Mm.
You know, live in it, but don't be a part of it. And
Mm.
I think I finally come to that conclusion that um, money's great, but like the Lord says, does He take care of that sparrow that don't have to worry about going out there and getting food? And
Mm.
He'll take care of you a lot more than He will that bird. So
Mm.
I've really felt that and have peace with that.
Mm.
So,
Family seems like
mm,
this amazing part of your life and a huge focus of your life.
mm,
Um, for someone who also wants to have an amazing family, maybe they're married now, looking to have kids, and they want to just have a great family life. What are a few things that you did with your kids as they were growing up, just to make sure you were there and you were a part, and you just made, I don't know, they're growing up great with.
we both did, but I really tried to be there for him, and
Mm.
every night, uh, put him to bed and read him a little bit of a story,
Mm.
um, and being involved in our life, from there on, and 3 girls, and we were blessed with 3 really super young ladies. No problems really whatsoever. We just kind of mentored that
Sure.
goodness of what they had. Just be there for your kids,
Mm.
be there and communicate and put your arm around them, love them.
Hmm. I've got a few fired questions for you. Um, are you a morning person or night person?
I'm morning.
Morning.
I get up early.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Hmm. Chainsaw or splitting mall?
Well, both.
Which do you prefer?
Chainsaw.
Main winter or main summer?
Main summer.
Yeah. What is something people might be surprised to learn about you?
I just be myself. I like everybody. Really no enemies, and
Hmm.
forgive everybody, and just be there and show up.
What skill should everyone learn growing up?
Be yourself and be honest.
Hmm.
And communicate that. and show that to people.
Mm.
I really try to, be there and be that person that shows myself
Mm.
to it, so that you are a worthy person.
You could give your 20-year-old self a piece of advice. What would you say?
Don't change a thing. My life's been pretty awesome overall, as
Mm.
far as that. Just a super marriage. Not that we didn't have problems, because
Right.
we all, we're both human, and
Yeah.
but again, communicate that, you know, um, but not change a lot. I mean, tell myself, stay on on that narrow road, so to
Mm.
speak,
Yeah.
and be, you know, um, good to people.
Dan Jack, thank
Yeah.
you so much for coming on the So What's the Point podcast. Super happy you could sit down.
Oh,
just
I
share
thank
your
you
life.
for asking me.
No,
I
it
really
was
do.
awesome to have you on, man. For all of you sitting at home who are listening, please go ahead, like, comment, subscribe. I don't know where you're listening to it. If you're on YouTube, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Click the notification bell so you never miss an episode. We'll see you next time.